Hi, happy afternoon. Like, I'm not really used to seeing everyone when it's like the afternoon. Oh my gosh, did you guys just see that? Did you see that thing that just went like I know my window is there, but I don't remember seeing like a bird there or anything like that. I wanted to show you something, but I don't think that I have it here. One moment. One moment. Where is it? I know it's in this. Okay, this is my what is it called? This is my like these little the gray things here, as you can see, right? It has like all of my my extra sage. I have some cool boxes. I have like pendulum mats, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to show you my dowsing rods, but I think that we're going to have a different Q&A then with the divination tools, because I wanted to show you guys how to what is it called? How to use divination tools, right? And dowsing rods is one of them that I get a lot of questions about. But let me know if you want to talk about that, or I'll just do another one with divination tools. So, oh hey Tara, how are you? Hi. Okay, so it's Q&A, but I'm using StreamYard, so I probably won't be able to bring anyone on. So basically, this is to answer all of your spiritual questions, and I'm going to answer some questions that I have gotten previously, right? So if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. If not, then I'm going to answer, and I'm going to answer some of the questions I get like all of the time, right? Oh, look at this. We already got a question. Tiffany, I use a pendulum over my hand. Is a mat better? Well, the thing is that I usually don't use a mat either. I usually don't. Over your hand, or I don't even put it like over my hand. I put it over just anything, But what's really, really cool is that pendulum mats look like this. So obviously you have your yes that goes back and forth. I've trained my pendulum though that is no. So my pendulum does this for yes, and it does left and right for no. So you can always turn it this way. But then you do have this option of saying try again and rephrasing. So it could be kind of cool. And you also have like a maybe over here. Where's the maybe at? The maybe. So when it swings over there, that would be really, really cool if you're starting off with a pendulum and you don't really have a really good bond with it yet. And then you can be like, okay, well, if it's in this section, then I know I have to rephrase it, right? Which I think is really awesome to have, because we can't use words like, should I do this? Should I do that? And it's kind of like spirit's like, well, should you? Like, I don't know. So that's why you have to get to phrase things like, is it for my highest good? You know what I mean? Is it in my best interest and things like that? So that's the reason why that I like that. But if you have a connection with your pendulum, then you don't need this. So I know, like with me and my pendulums, I know that when my pendulums start shaking, you might have heard me talk about this before. When they start shaking, then that means that I am, there's something not being truthful, right? So a lot of times it could be, if I'm asking about a love life, if my pendulum shakes, then I know that guy is not being honest or she's not being honest. I know there's some deceit there somehow. And that's because I got to know my pendulum. So yeah, you don't need one, but sometimes it could be helpful. It can be actually kind of more fun too. It can give it more of like an experience. So yes. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm getting right into this. I love this. How do you handle a psychic reading that gets really deep and personal? Okay. So there's some psychics out there and some readers that will say to the person, do you want to know everything right before they read them? They'll say, hey, I'm going to go all in no matter what I say. Are you good? Or is there any areas of your life you don't want to talk about? So a lot of times they do that. I don't do that, because I believe that if something's coming up, it's for a reason, right? And anytime we're getting personal, I literally just say it. I say, hey, you know what? I was like, because there's been some times I can't think of anything right now, but I am like, oh my gosh, I really, really don't want to say this. Like, this is personal. And I'll kind of feel out the client a little bit, and I'll be like, okay, should I say something? And I'll tell them exactly what I'm feeling too. I will be like, okay, I'm getting something that's kind of personal. You know what I mean? Do you sure that you really want to hear it? If I really don't even want to say that to them, I'll ask spirit and I'll be like, dude, you seriously want me to say this right now? And if I keep on getting a yes, then I do it. And then honestly, like sometimes that leads to this bigger connection, right? Because in all seriousness, I know people come to psychics and you come to mediums, and it's really cool to have, that experience of connecting with your past loved one, or to, wow, how does she know that? But the thing is, we're also here to create space for people, and when you touch on something personal, that goes really, really deep, you're giving them an opportunity to heal, to bring it to light, and to really, like understand more about themselves, and also to let them know that this is a time for maybe for you to get it out, if that makes sense. So you can always ask. So the first thing is you can always ask before the reading, like, hey, do you want to know everything? Then you can, if it gets deep, you can say, okay, do you want to know this? It might seem a little personal. You can ask spirit, be like, hey, do you really want me to tell you this? And then you can also realize too, that if it gets deep and personal, it's for a bigger reason. It's there because you need to hold space for that person. Right. And there's been some readings that have been really tough, like emotionally on me. I don't cry during readings and stuff, but where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to have a drink afterwards. No, I don't do that anymore. But like I had to go walking in nature because I could not handle the emotional toll that the reading took on me. Right. Because sometimes you're a therapist, you really are. And you get, invited into these people's personal lives. And it's an honor. That's why it's an honor to connect to people, because they're opening you up to their whole life, and it's like crazy. Sometimes like I think about even people that I know, and it's like, wow, like I remember some things from their readings, and it's like, wow, I feel so honored that like I'm holding the secret, or they chose to talk to me about it. And like, I just had to tell you this, okay? So everyone that is listening right now, if you are feeling guided to do readings, if you are feeling that you have a gift, that is why it's so important for you to try and act on it. I know it's scary. I know that you think that like, oh, what if they say no? What if I suck? But the thing is that there's so many people out there that need the help, that need the guidance, and they go to people or psychics who don't have their best interest at heart, who are trying to, con them out of money, out of information, or, aren't truly connected anymore. And that's the reason why that we have to step up. That's the reason why that I keep on doing readings, right? Even though I feel more guided to help people do readings, I still do them because that's more people coming to me that aren't going to those bad guys, if you will, right? So we have to step up and be the good ones and be like, okay, you know what? I may be wrong. I may be full of crap, right? But I feel like I need to do this, and I feel like what I'm saying might help you. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Oh, and Tiffany's like, you said that to me and you were spot on. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh, my no is circle. Oh, your no is circle. Right. And maybe is left circle. Okay. See? Yeah. And back and forth is yes. See? Yep. You gotta, that was back when we talked about the pendulum. Sorry, there is a little bit of a delay. So yes. Oh, hi, Lisa. Is it normal for some days your psychic abilities to be strong and other days? Oh, yes, 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 yes. And that has to do, so some days you're going to be really strong with your psychic connection. Sometimes it's going to be really good mediumship. Some days you're going to be like on fire, right? I go downstairs and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am the new James Van Prague, right? I'm like, I'm like, dude, I got their name. And then I got their name. And then I got like the year they passed. I got their anniversary date, right? And you're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then the next day it might be like, oh gosh, I could not get like they were happy and all, but I wish I would have gotten better evidence, right? But there's two things to consider. Even though it looks like four, two things to consider is how you're feeling that day, right? You just might be more open to spirit that day. You might be more open psychically, however your body is feeling, you know what I mean? How, how you slept, how you ate, that kind of stuff is going to put in consideration. And then the second thing is the person that you're reading, right? So it's so much easier for me to read people that are like me. When I feel their energy and I know that they're like outgoing or spunky or they're open-minded or they're fun or whatever, like the information just comes like this. If they're sitting there with like their hands crossed or whatever, and they're just like stone faced, like, hey, I can still read them, no problem. But it's just like the energy doesn't flow. It's really fun though too, because then you keep on working at it and you open it up, and then finally like you open up to this other side of them, because they don't want to like, they think the smiling or something like that is going to be like giving them information. And then after a while in their reading, they start loosening up, and that's fun. So put in consideration who you're reading to. Yes. Oh my gosh, your brother's birthday today. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. They passed. Like, have you asked for an external sign? Right? Have you asked him for like, show me your name today. Help me dream about you. He might not be able to bring in your dream right now, but he might be able to in a couple days. So I get this question a lot too. you can ask your past loved ones to come visit you in a dream, right? It's so awesome. You can totally ask them, right? But sometimes it takes like about 3 days, a couple of nights, right? I usually say 3 days or 3 nights because that's usually what happens with me, right? I say, hey, mom, I really, really want to see you in a dream, but it might take a couple of days for them to get there. But then just also notice too your vitamin B6, okay? Because your vitamin B6 is what really needs to be strong in you for you to remember your dreams. Okay, so if you're not remembering your dreams, then get that vitamin B6. Okay. And same thing with anything. If you get a sign, give them a couple of days. And the way that I see it is like, energy and motion tends to stay in motion, right? That kind of physics law. So right now, today, the energy is already kind of happening, but then you can push the ball in one direction and then like the energy will keep on going through the course of a couple of days, right? So basically, whatever you're focusing your energy on today you might not see the effects of it for a couple of days because you're pushing the ball today and then the ball is going to roll over for a couple of days, if that makes sense, right? So totally do it because I wasn't planning on doing any readings right now. Who knows where it might lead, right? But I feel like when you get the signs for yourself, it's just like it's so amazing. I love it. Yes. Okay. I asked, but I don't get anything because energy is so low. If you have low energy, right, it's almost like it's not almost like, it totally is the Esther Hicks emotion scale. So one moment, give her to Esther Hicks. Okay, you can't see it, right? Esther Hicks emotion scale. This is like boredom, right? And so obviously this is the higher vibrating emotions. This is the lower vibrating emotions. Grief is like down here, right? So when you're grieving, your emotions are low. And then like up here, like gratitude and love is like the highest emotion, right? So wherever you are at on the scale, and you can Google the scale, right? And then what your goal is try and get your emotions up so that you are vibrating higher, because obviously spirit's like way off the charts, right? So we want to get up the scale. And how you can do that is through a few ways. The number one way is through movement. That's why going for a walk helps. That's the reason why exercise helps. That's why running helps, anything, yoga, Zumba, whatever helps, right? Helps raise your vibration so you can be able to hear spirit, because they're trying to bring their vibration down and you got to bring your vibration up to talk to them. So also meditation helps raise your vibration, right? So whatever you can do, happiness, laughter is a big one, right? And it's going to soar you up, right? And that's the reason why that you may not get signs. So that's one thing, is raising your vibration, right? And the other thing is trusting and using that imagination muscle, right? Knowing how they talk to you, right? So hopefully everyone has my what is that called? It's like your guide to connect with spirit. So make sure that you guys have that. All right. So that's the one where it talks about all the different kinds of clairs, like the 14 different kinds of clairs. And then you do a workbook to see how spirit connects to you. It's totally free. If you don't have it, reach out to me and I'll email it to you. Okay. So yes. And then Tara's like, my anxiety perked up today. Yeah, for the first time in years. I even went to call my mom. She's been gone for over 8 years. Oh my gosh. But I wonder too, Tara, that if your mom was with you and that's the reason why that you thought of her, right? Because so oftentimes we are like, oh, I miss so-and-so. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. I miss my brother, right? But the thing is, the reason why that they pop into our head like that is because we're sensing them standing next to us. We're sensing their energy. And it's actually them putting the thought into our mind, because they speak telepathically, right? Think about it. They don't got bodies. You know what I mean? They don't got vocal cords. So I'm so sorry about that, Tara. There is some crazy energy going on. I feel like all of us are just in this like transition phase, and it's crazy. Like I feel like we're just stuck in a perpetual Mercury retrograde. It's so funny. Yes. Okay, yeah, we'll research the scale. Yeah, totally. The light language sessions I had was unreal, out of a body experience. Yes, yes. There's been a lot of talk of light language, and so light language is supposed to be said from like higher beings, that kind of thing. And it is not a language of this world. Right. And I feel personally that the language has a lot of vibrating sounds in it, almost like how right? Anytime that you're feeling anxiety, anytime that you're feeling down, that kind of stuff, you can say right? Which is, God, creator, that kind of thing. And it's a very high vibrating sound. It's one of the higher vibrating sounds. And that can also help decrease anxiety, stress, and that kind of thing, right? Yeah. Okay. What about animals? Can they do the same thing? Can they do what, Shelly? I'm so sorry. Can animals do the same thing? Like, you mean like can past animals like come to you and give you signs and stuff? If so, totally, totally. They're like really good at it. I keep on like my son was even in the refrigerator like last year or so, and when he was opening up the door, like he's all of a sudden he screamed and jumped back, and I was like, "What the heck?" And he was like, "I just seen a dog run." You know what I mean, through our kitchen. And my son is like not really into this stuff. You know what I mean? You might have seen him help me out, but it was hilarious too. Cause I was like, what? Really? I didn't even see it. I was cooking dinner, you know? So you knew that he wasn't making that shit up. So yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my, I wish that Moni was on here. She gets a lot of the messages from her dogs. Oh my gosh. Get this, right? Aunt Juju was still alive. And I swear I got behind this car, on a whim or whatever. And I looked down at the license plate and the license said Duke. The license plate said Duke, right? And I was like, oh my God. Duke was my Aunt Judy's dog. And I was like, oh my gosh. Another one too. For some reason, on my way to work, this was like maybe 2 years ago. I had pictures of these too. I could totally prove it. And it was so funny because for some reason I decided to get behind this car. And I was like, why would I do that? Because there's no one in this lane. Why would I get behind this car at a red light? But for some reason I felt like I needed to. So I'm like, okay, I get in that, behind that car. The license plate was Buttons. And Buttons, it was my husband's dog growing up. And I'm like, oh my God, Buttons is saying hi, right? So 100%. Yeah, your dogs are totally with you. Oh my gosh, yes. And by the way, with dogs, I often see them as shadows or light, like mid or lower, right? And it's almost like, you feel like if you ever feel like you're going to trip over your own feet, that's your dog, right? If there's like a shadow or a light that's near the ground, that's usually always them as well, right? So just kind of keep your eye on that. Okay. And then I've noticed when I'm physically unwell, my shielding prayer at night doesn't keep spirit out. Is there something I can do differently? Okay. If you're having a hard time with like your shielding, so just in case people don't know what shielding is where you are powerful AF, right? And you can say what's allowed into your space and what is not allowed into your space, right? And how you can do that is by saying it, right? And then imagining a shield around you, right? So I imagine a shield around me and I say, I only allow 100% love and light come into my space. And when I say this, I set that intention that nothing bad, nothing of 100% love and light can come into my space, whether it's a spirit, whether it's a past loved one that's, having a bad day or something. Or even like energy from like my husband who's talking about politics, or a friend who's gossiping and stuff like that. I just put up my shield, and then I don't have to worry about absorbing all their emotions, right? Because when we do that, it can hurt our physical body, it can create illness, and take away our energy and that kind of thing. So what I noticed, and see if you can put this two and two together, Darlene, is if you're having a hard time with them breaking down your boundaries, because that's what spirit's doing, right? So if that's not working, usually it's one of two things. You know what I mean? The first thing is, right, is making sure that you are strong in all your boundaries throughout your life, right? So are you upholding your boundaries, with your husband, with your friends, with your family, Are you good at upholding your boundaries? You know what I mean? Are you good at letting people not walk all over you? Are you good at, being true to yourself, right? Because your spiritual life reflects your personal life, right? So make sure that you're doing that. So being more firm in your boundaries in your personal life is going to help you be more better at boundaries with your spiritual life, right? The second thing is a lot of times they'll push through your boundaries if you're not giving them an opportunity to talk to you throughout the day and that kind of stuff, right? Which I think that you are, though. But that's why a lot of people who have gifts and then all of a sudden all of a sudden like spirits won't stop bugging them and that kind of thing. And it's because, that's part of their life and that's part of their life purpose. And spirit is allowing them to push over, and talk to them even when they don't want them to, is because they need to wake up. They need to start practicing. So even if you say, hey, spirit, I'm available between 4 and 5, you know what I mean? That should work, right? So sorry. So the first thing is practice boundaries in your personal life. The second thing is going to be, making sure that you have open time. And the third thing is just make sure that you set the intention really, really strong, right? You got to like mean it. Let me know if that helps. If not, I can probably get more, but that's what they're telling me right now. Okay. Ooh, this is fun. Like, we should do this on Zoom so we can see each other. Okay, strange thing. I heard 2 songs about military and being there when they aren't. Made me think of my son who is my son-in-law is overseas. This all happened the night before. I went to call my mom. You're probably right. Yes. And I wonder what's going on with your son too. Like, is he having a bad day? Is there anything else that's going on? Because one thing that I know is with my son, he's in boot camp, right? And I felt like, I was like, okay, I put it on Facebook. I was like, my son needs prayers right now. I connected to him too. I knew that he wasn't doing so good and that kind of thing. And that was on a Wednesday, right? I don't know yet if he was having a bad day on Wednesday, but what I did know was on Friday was extremely bad day for him. Extremely. And I feel like maybe I was picking that up. So it might even come in a couple days where he's going to be having like a bad day or that kind of thing. So think about that too, Tara. Okay. Oh my God. Darlene's like, I had a half naked man in my bedroom last night. Okay. You know what? Sometimes if you can't lose them, like what is it called? Like if you can't lose them, use them, that kind of thing. So if they're being really, really persistent, I would actually ask them, be like, okay, what the hell? Like, what is going on? Because for some reason, spirit's allowing them to come into your space. So that's what I would do. I would be like, okay, what the hell is up with this naked shit, right? Like, why the hell are you bothering me? And say, make it quick because I got to get to bed, right? Oh, I love that. Melinda's like lucky AF, Darlene. Oh, he was built. Oh my gosh, was he like one of like the archangel? Look, remember my Archangel Michael cards that we have, where like Archangel Michael is like really buff and like hot. Oh my gosh, yes, that is hilarious. Oh, I want to see the answer. Okay, but I'm gonna answer this question too because it's such a common one too, right? It's like if you have ringing in your ears, the spirit trying to talk to you. Yes, obviously get checked for tinnitus, right? If it's happening like all the freaking time, right? But what I do, so if I'm hearing the ringing in my ears, then I know that number one, it's probably spirit talking to me, right? So I kind of just like pay attention a little bit. I pay attention to what I was just thinking about too, because it could be them trying to snap me out of like negative self-talk. It could be an idea I had and they're trying to let me know, okay, that's a good idea, So try to figure out what you were just thinking about or pay attention to your surroundings and who you're with when it happens. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing too, and is oftentimes that is a sign of ascension. So if you've heard about that, that's going to the next level, that is leveling up, that is getting better with your gifts, right? That is getting, more closer to spirit, that kind of thing. So hopefully that helps you. Yeah, yes. Oh, then wait a second. Darlene was like, he was definitely bulked up and, beautiful to look at. What was the problem, darling? You had some eye candy last night. Just standing too close to the bed and scared the crap out of me. I know. I contacted my Aunt Juju the other day, and she told me that the woman, the spirit that kissed me on my cheek the other night was like not her. And so here's another thing to think about too. Sometimes it's going to be a person that you read or current or about to read, you know what I mean? Or someone close to you. So I know that a lot of times, like in Psychics Anonymous and all the things that we're doing, we're like reading each other and stuff. And one of the things is that you could still, they might come and visit you before you talk to them, so a lot of times like I will come home from a walk and I'll notice there's spirits in my house and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, right? And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait a second, they're waiting for their loved ones because their loved ones having a reading with me, that day or the next day, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind too, because it might be one of them, right, that you're going to connect to. Yes. So yeah, and then the ringing is high pitched or clicking. Yeah, so usually it's high pitched. I don't know if I've had clicking, but yes, but usually that's 100% what it is. So what I would do if I were you, if you keep on having like the ringing in the ears and that kind of stuff too, is going down your spiritual path, obviously. But if you could journal, you know what I mean, try some channeling, that kind of stuff, getting some card decks, that kind of stuff, because the more you go down the spiritual path, then like the easier it's going to come, unless it's like, a true issue, right? Yeah, okay. So I was gonna say unless it's like a true issue, but Danielle Richardson, she's like, I always have ringing. I'm not one of those spiritual people that are like, everything's all spiritual. No, you might have medical issues, so it could be tinnitus, right? Or tinnitus, however you say it. But yes, if you're always having the ringing and it's not from a medical perspective or anything like that, then it's time for you to explore spiritual worlds. So whether that, like I said, the channeling, the journaling is really good, some oracle cards, taking even a free online course, that kind of stuff too. And I'm doing that free thing, you know what I mean, where it's going to be intuition based. So it's not like psychic mediumships. You don't have to be scared, right? And it's totally free. We meet once a month in November, December, January, starting next week. You get the emails every single week that will help you hone in. So that might help as well to get you started. So just let me know if you're interested in that. Okay. Yes, because it's gonna be fun, and then maybe it'll help you with the ringing. And then Darlene's like, there are times I'm so exhausted, I have no physical, mental strength, and that's when spirit comes to me at night most often. Yes, I will try a stronger intention if I can. Yes, exactly. Don't you just love that? How they come when your guard is down. But here's the thing: you don't have to. I'm just like grabbing something, right? And this is literally not coming from me. This is coming from spirit, right? It sounds weird. This is the closest thing that I could grab, right? So if you are feeling exhausted, right, and you don't feel like you can put enough oomph or intention behind it, then you can set the intention that, like, okay, when this is at my bedside, right, like no spirits are allowed to see me. Or you can say only spirit, whatever you want. Like I say, I only allow my mom and my grandma into my space, or whoever they decide. So you can just set attention. Okay, when this is here, then no one is to bother me, and then you can even, like, I don't know, put more intention behind it, sage it, put a stone underneath there, however you want to do it. So then it's something external, like a lot of times, like kids will wear what's called ghost beads around their wrist and at night, or around their ankles. And then that says that spirits aren't allowed to come to them, when they're wearing this. Right. But then, of course, they take it off, and then they put it back on like every single night, Okay. So, or you could try the bracelet too, so that that you're not open. And by the way, it was so cool. I didn't even know about ghost beads until I did like this clearing at this woman's house, like a clearing / healing in her house. And that's when spirit told me about ghost beads. I thought it was so cool. I didn't even know what they existed. Right. But so if your child is having like problems sleeping and that kind of stuff, you can get them. They look like mala beads, so they're like a beaded bracelet that goes around their wrist or their ankle. Right. Yes. Oh, random question, but is it possible for spirits to possess us, like to record messages for us directly? Or is that sci-fi? Oh my gosh, you guys are freaking awesome. I freaking love this. Okay, so I love this. Okay. Can spirits possess you? In like rare circumstances, they can, right? But it's not just like all of a sudden, just one day they pop in, right? It's a gradual thing, right? So what will happen is they blend in with you. And usually it's all like if you're in a very negative situation. So usually these are people who are drug addicts, you know what I mean, alcoholics, abusive people, that kind of stuff, because they're not mentally strong, and then they usually have some kind of addiction that the spirit had as well, right? So a lot of times what will starts off as like the spirit blending with you and you taking over some of their behaviors, so if they were a smoker, you might start smoking more. If they were this kind of person, then maybe you're going to be that kind of person. And that's how it is, right? But as soon as a person gets strong enough and says, you know what I mean, that, then they can push the spirit out. But it might take longer depending on how much the spirit's been in the person or blended with the person. So but majority of time, no, you don't have to worry about that. And that's similar to trance mediumship, but trance mediumship is for past loved ones and not like the crazy earthbounds that you have. But just remember this, okay? I don't want to scare anyone, right? Earthbounds, which is what I call ghosts, right? People who pass over didn't go to the light. They exist, but 99.9% of them are not mean. You know what I mean? They're not bad. You know what I mean? They might be grumpy. They might have been an asshole in the real life and that kind of thing, but they're not like demons and crap like that, right? But you can, but it's very, very, very rare. I would like bet that if you haven't had any kind of experience up to this point in your life, then you probably don't have to worry about it. But you will know, like you will feel it. Like you're going to be in a lower vibrating place. Like look at this. Go on like Ghost Hunters or whatever like that, or Ghost Adventures is really big, or those kind of shows, and then look at the environment around. You know what I mean? It's like they're such low vibrating, and those kind of earthbounds have a tendency to take advantage of those people when they're vulnerable. Oh, okay. Tara said in Mexican culture we have a red bracelet that protects. I forget what it's called. Yes, yes. Okay. But let me finish. I don't think I'm finished with this one. It's very, very rare that will happen. Yes. Okay. And then definitely, like, I just want to talk about this really quick. Like demons, evil spirits, the malicious ones, right? I definitely follow the works of Lorraine Warren. I think Lorraine and her husband Ed Warren, right? They're the ones that are portrayed in like the movies like The Conjuring and that kind of stuff, right? And they'll even say it in there. That's how they lived, they breathe. They're demonologists, right? And they say that demons cannot come into your house. They cannot do any of that stuff unless they are invited, right? So there is someone who has done some kind of satanic ritual or whatever like that invited them in, right? But then, and this is a really cool thing, right? If you watch those movies, you can see the faith and the love that Lorraine has, you know what I mean? For them. And then that's the thing that shows that we have the power over everything on this earth. We are like the pikas, like we are the number ones here, right? We're the people that can say what's allowed into our space, what is not, and what goes, because we have the light of God within us. So that we just have to remember that light and bring it out. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Oh yeah, but just really quick. Oh look, someone does know the bracelet. Yes, the evil eye bracelet. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, and then in Italian culture, we just have a red ribbon pinned to under the undergarment. Ooh, that is so cool, Josie. I don't know about that. During healing, does on get dizzy? Do you get dizzy or do they get dizzy? Right. So what I noticed is that like my mom was getting very nauseous when I was trying to do pranic healing on her and that kind of stuff. And what it is that there's too much energy moving through, or the person you're doing healing with, right? And because the energy is being moved, it's either making you dizzy, it's making you nauseous, and that kind of thing. So I would recommend a little bit lighter of a healing. So instead of doing pranic healing on my mom, I did Reiki because Reiki was a little bit nicer, but even she couldn't take Reiki near the end. So you just have to lighten up on that healing a little bit, right? You don't want to push your body too much. I think that we just talked to someone who had a massage and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm hurting. And it's 3 days later. It's like, okay, don't do that. Massages are good, but don't go extreme. Just like healings are good, but don't go extreme, right? If you're getting dizzy, if you're getting nauseous, go lighter with the healing. Okay. Yeah, why the color red? I remember Kabbalah had remember Kabbalah had a red string, but I forgot what the significance of red was. Okay, I use the words on oracle cards to help guide the message. Does that mean I'm not reading them intuitively? No, like you can go, oh no, like I use the words all the time and it helps me intuitively connect. So what I'll do is I'll look at the oracle card, I'll see the word, I might even say the words, right? But then I use my intuition to say, okay, is there anything more about this card? You know what I mean? Or are there any words that are standing out, right? Just like in the tarot, if you're using tarot cards, then you can intuitively pick up like, is this like the standard meaning of this card, or is there something more hidden, right? But no, just because you read the words on the oracle, that kind of stuff. And if you might see me during coffee and cards, I'll literally get out the guidebook and I'll start reading it. But then I'll also say other things that's more intuitive, right? I'll be like, oh, and this, and I'm picking this up intuitively, right? So you're still good. Yes. Okay. How do you bring out the light? Keep you okay. Oh, okay. Because I wasn't sure about that question. Okay. Can I just keep healing, doing what I'm doing, and hope that dizziness will stop? You need to do something to where it's lighter, right? You need to do like if you're doing in a certain spot in your body, choose a different spot. If you're having it from one healer, get another healer, right? You have to be more sweeter to yourself, right? There's something there, the energy is really strong, right? And here's the thing too, I didn't tell anyone who did like Psychos Anonymous and that kind of thing, but a lot of times like your stomach might start gargling and that kind of stuff, and that's because of the energy and like the room or the energy within the circle and that kind of stuff. So yes, with that, or you're giving out too much energy, right? Even to yourself, Brenda, right? So there's like too much or too strong of energy, use one hand, use a different hand, different spot, right? Try out something different to where you're not pushing as much energy into your body, right? Like when you do your healings, making sure that you're moving your joints too, right? Try that out as well because energy can get stuck in the joints, right? And so in pranic healing, they teach us to do this before, touching your toes and stuff like that, moving your ankles around because, get your body a little bit more used to the energy flowing, maybe take a walk beforehand and maybe that will help out as well, right? So hopefully, get some of the energy unstuck so you're not dizzy. Um, oh, okay. The red color thread symbolizes Vishnu for men and Lakshmi for women. I totally butchered that, but that is so incredibly interesting. Yes. Okay, Ashley, we're answering questions. If you have any questions like spirituality, spiritual development, tools, that kind of stuff. Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure that I got everyone. Yeah, that was funny. Oh, been seeing the lights and shadows on the floor and couch. It's Heidi letting me know she's still with me. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure. I love this. I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Let me see if there's anything else that I get a lot. Okay. I think I answered everything. I'm wanting to try doing shrooms as I have read people connect to their side and find peace from their grief. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something that was really crazy. When I had my out of body experience when I was in Florida, right? What ended up happening was, I seen everyone as light creatures. I don't know where the hell I went to. It was so difficult to come back because it was only like a 10-minute meditation or maybe 15 minutes and I went too far, right? And when I came back, I didn't feel like I was in my body. I couldn't even move. Like I couldn't even move my pinky. I couldn't even do that. And it was like the worst experience of my life, and when I finally was able to move, when I got all of my, it took like, I don't even know, a half hour for me to be able to move my body. I was just so incredibly emotional. I just kept on crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And I sat outside the grass with someone and they said, that's the same experience that she had when she did like that frog poison or whatever like that in like Mexico or whatever. And they do that same thing to try and get the experience that I got apparently. But you have to be really careful with it because it can bring out other things, right? So just a warning to it that it can be like an incredible good experience. It could be incredibly bad experience, right? But it is definitely possible that you can do that. Now, technically, you're not, you don't have to use shrooms. You don't have to get high. You don't have to, what is it called? Drink alcohol, do weed, and that kind of thing to connect, right? You have that connection. It's just that part of you is blocked right now. And then sometimes having a substance on the outside will make it easier for you to melt those blocks, right? But each person does have a different reaction to each one of those things. You know what I mean? But if you're feeling guided to and you want to try it, I'm always a person that's like, hey, if it happens, you know what I mean, then it was meant to be, right? If you're having challenges getting there and that kind of stuff, then it wasn't meant to be. But just know that having a safe place and having someone with you that you can count on is key. Because when I was going through that hell, right, where I was in a class with John Holland and Joe Shell. So if you guys know them, right, I was there. It was only 20 people in the class and they didn't even freaking notice. I was like this the whole entire time during the class. Afterwards, I was literally just sitting there like this. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, Heather, you got to ground yourself. You have to do stuff. So then yeah, so it was crazy. And people were like, oh my God, you were like Edgar Casey, or not. Edgar Casey was unconscious. I don't know if I was conscious or not. But anyways, they're like, you can do this and you're so good at it and that kind of stuff. But I needed to have someone there with me beside me. And I haven't really tried it since because I need someone that knows what the hell they're doing so they can bring me back so I don't feel like I was hit by a semi truck, right? And that's the reason why, like, I know that Tony Stockwell does like trance mediumship online. I would recommend not doing that online. You need to have someone there with you that you can trust that knows what the heck they're doing if you're going to play with any of that. because I felt like crap. I felt like I was out of my body. And then luckily 2 Australians came in, and then they put their hand above my head and they're like, we're going to stack her. And I'm like, what? And believe me, sometimes like, I don't know if you guys are like me, but like when it comes to like healing modalities, like I don't always notice the heat all the time. Like, you know what I mean? I trust that it's working. I know that it is, but it's like, right? They put their hand over my head and they're like, we're stacking her. And then all of a suddenly it was like a couple minutes later, I felt like a shift in my head, almost like someone patted my head, but I know their hands didn't touch. And then they were like, I felt it. And she's like, I felt it too. And I was like, okay, what did you guys feel? Because I totally felt it. They're like, your soul is back inside your body. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what it was. Half of my soul was still out of my body because I had connected so well to the other side. Right. And then I felt so much better. Like, oh my God, I felt so much better. But I thank God for them, or I don't know what the hell I would be doing because I felt like I was insane. So sorry about that. Sorry about that tangent. So yeah, you can, but do it with someone that you trust, that you know, and that you trust to know, and an expert. Okay. Okay. How do you keep that from happening again? Oh. Just to let you know, when I did that 15-minute meditation and I went outside of my body, right? I was well aware what I was doing. But I trusted Joe and I trusted John at the time. I was scared out of my freaking mind. I was scared out of my mind, just to let you know. I went like this, right? I had my eyes open, and he's like, you're getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And each time, each breath, I got more and more scared. The fear was from head to toe. And I was like, nope, you trust Joe. You trust Joe. You trust John. Just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. And that's what I told myself until all of a sudden I like the people's bodies in front of me just started to melt, right? And I didn't see their bodies anymore, and it was just gold and white, not gold and white, it's like yellowish, more yellow than white, in the shape of a bodies, and they were all there. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm seeing this with my eyeballs. This is freaking crazy, right? But then he told us to close our eyes, and then once I closed my eyes, I got petrified, but I just kept on doing, relaxing, right? Until there was like blackness, and I was floating around in the blackness, right? It was crazy. So how I keep that from happening again is that when I'm scared in a meditation, I don't keep going. I come back. I come back. I don't go into deep meditation anymore like that. Um, yes, and you wouldn't be able to come out of it until the drug was gone. Yep. Yes. How did you know that it was time for you to start doing medium professionally? Okay. Oh yeah, and Lisa, I have your question too. So let me do Lisa's question first. Is why is he opposite your hand when picking a card? Each person is different, but it's probably because like your left hand, you know what I mean, or your non-dominant hand is more of like your receiving energy, right? Your feminine energy, that kind of thing. And this is more of like your dominant, you're more masculine, that kind of thing. So receiving usually, this one's more of like a giving. So you're going to be receiving the message from spirit. You're going to be receiving your guidance. You are open to it, that kind of thing. So that's probably why, but each individual reader might say something different. Okay. Time to do professional mediumship readings. So first, that you feel guided to it, you feel like you can connect, right? I think in the course that we talked about, you can get at least good information. You've done free readings, you've gotten really good feedback for it, then you start taking usually like donation readings, and then you put a price on yourself because there has to be that energy exchange, right? And then when you definitely have gotten good feedback, specifically if you can bring in a spirit and you can get like, good evidence, 5 or 6 pieces. It does not have to be their name, their date of birth, or anything like that, but to where you have gotten enough evidence to where the person can understand that's who you're talking to. Right? Okay. So, and then you can work your way up. So I ended up doing a psychic fair for charity. And I did 2 days worth. So I read like a zillion people all for free. And it was, well, they paid, but it went to charity. So I felt a little bit better about that. So that was, I don't even know, a ginormous amount of readings. And then I was in the circle, and then I did a lot of those readings. And then when people found out that I was doing readings, I just kept on going until finally, you know what I mean? I started doing $20 readings, email readings. And then I just started, what I wanted to do is I wanted to have experience in all different kinds of readings. So that's the reason why, okay, I want to try a psychic fair reading. I want to try an indoor psychic fair. I want to try an outdoor psychic fair. I want to do readings at a metaphysical store. That's how I got working at the Mind's Eye. And then And it's like, okay, I wanted to practice gallery mediumship, also known as platform mediumship. So I wanted to see what I liked in all of that, because I wanted all that experience. I wanted to see if I liked it. I was working with my mentor, and then that's what she told me to do. She's like, hey, try and see what you like and that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh my gosh, I lost my husband, 2 dogs, a cat, 1 cat, and my home of 17 years, 5 years ago. I've been on a journey healing now for 2 years, and your energy always feels right. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, but just know this, Brenda, you've been given such a difficult, path, right? But it's for a reason. You've lost so much more than honestly, than the average person has. And so it's like, okay, I know it sounds hard, but why? Are you meant to share your story? Are you meant to be the light for someone else? Most people wouldn't be able to go through what you just went through and still be able to put a smile on their face. So how can you help them? Are you able to, join Facebook groups and share your light, write a book, journal it out, create a blog about just like your feelings and what you're going through, You were given the path you were given for a reason, right? I actually just wrote to someone today about like my life, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. So, I talk about my mom all the time, and I do love my mom. But the thing is that my mom was not the best person, right? I felt like she was very toxic, and growing up, I'll be honest with you, like she was a horrible mom. And I feel like she was a horrible person. I had gotten molested. I had, gotten raped, and I had also put a man in prison for about 2 decades. He was in prison for 20 years. And through all of that, I mean, my mom made every single bad decision, and she was not there for me whatsoever. Like she did the opposite of what a good mom should do, right? She even tried selling me. She tried to get me married this guy when I was 16 because they really wanted his computer, right? She did some really bad things, right? Like, oh my God, like I can't even remember a lot of them because I'm trying to forget them. But the thing is that when she was the last time I seen her 12 hours before she passed, that's when it finally hit me, is because she was such a horrible person, because she went ahead and, wasn't there for me, because she wasn't supportive, because she was a horrible person, and a mother. She taught me to rely on myself. She taught me to be strong. She taught me that I could get through anything and everything, even though I had nothing, right? And it was crazy because now I look at her as like this amazing teacher, even though when she was here, I was like, oh my gosh, you're such a bad person, right? But I got to tell her that the last time I seen her. And I was able to tell her, I'm like, I am the person I am, not despite you. Because she knew when she got older, like how badly she like constantly, right? And I was like, hey, I am not the person I am despite you. I am the person I am today because of you, Mom. I am who I am. And I know she was so proud of me and who I became. And I felt like she knew how bad that she treated me, but I was like, no, Mom. I'm like, you're my teacher, right? So I know that I went through that process too, because it's like, man, if one other person can see their parent or the person that they're having difficulty with, you know what I mean, as a teacher now, then it would save them some more grief, when they pass or whatever, or it might help them see that their journey has a reason, Yeah. Oh, okay. Definitely soul sisters. I feel the same way with my parents. Yes. Yes. Who is that, by the way? Because I don't have your name because of StreamYard. So yes, but now it's like, okay, we're there for a reason, right? Yes. Oh, this has been a good conversation, y'all. Right? We got in a little bit deep. So yeah, and so you see, like Jennifer. Yes. Okay. Okay. I don't know why, but you came to my mind. Yeah. Um but yeah, so all of us light workers, you know what I mean? Like the people who are drawn to spirituality, people like that, right? We are often given really hard, difficult lives, right? And, like you can say, okay, it's better to help other people, but it's like, it's for a lot of different reasons. We're more sensitive people. We signed up for the shit. Like, I don't know why sometimes we signed up for it, but we signed up for it. And so if you went through it, then the best thing that you can do is help someone else, you know what I mean, get through it, build a bridge for them, give them the shortcuts, give them the tips and tricks that helped you out, you know what I mean? Being like, okay, come on, I've been there too. Here's what helped me. And then even if that idea doesn't help, you might snowball an idea that will help them. Yes. Some people are here to teach us what not to be, to make us stronger from the neglect and cruelty. Wow, I don't know if you meant to rhyme that, but that is beautiful. Some people are here to teach us what not to be, to make us stronger from the neglect and cruelty. Oh my God. It's so true though. It's so true. I'm like, I used to cry and I used to be like, how come I couldn't have had like good parents? And how come I couldn't have this and that? Oh my gosh. Then I probably wouldn't have fought so hard in life. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't know where I would have been if I would have had, a good upbringing or, like like a good life, maybe I wouldn't have tried so hard. Maybe I would have just gotten married and I would be working, as a bank teller somewhere and not doing this work, right? So, yeah, I had like a 3 times, then I was all right. Oh, yes. We pay such a heavy price for it. I always tried to be the person I needed when I was going through it. That is such a good thing to do. Yes, be the person that you needed when you're going through it. And then Brenda's like, I feel the same way. Life has always been tough. I survived. I was numb. And now I'm realizing so much more. The healing journey is hard, but so needed. Oh my God. Yes. And then look at me. I ended up like 30 years, like I was 28, 27, 28 years old when I started having seizures out of nowhere. Right. I had no idea that I was suppressing my emotions like I was, started having seizures. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It was horrible. Then I changed my diet, got on my spiritual path. Boom, no more seizures. You know what I mean? I'm able to do so much better now. Yes, and I swear I'll switch at birth, but I just look at them and say, so no dice. If I look just like them, yes. Okay, when I met my father when I was 18 years old, and I was like, oh my God, like I was really hoping that like we did not look alike or anything like that because I was like, I want to say I was switched at birth, but nope, I look just like my biological father, just like him. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Yeah. Yeah, either way, you would still be a great influencer. Oh, are you talking about me or someone else? I think we're all great influencers. If you're still on this call too, you're on it for a reason. You need to share your story. You need to tell other people, you know what I mean, what you have gone through. Whether it's just like commenting on someone's post, you know what I mean? Whether it's, creating a meetup group, whether it's starting a blog or something like that, you are being guided to share your story. You did not go through this for nothing, right? You went to help some others, and it's also for your own soul evolution too, but you got to help, right? Yes. Yeah, I think that we got to all the questions. Yes. Okay. Oh, by the way, okay, just really quick. Have you guys seen Ghosts? Right? It's a funny show, right? They have it on Amazon with ads, the American version. I haven't watched it, but they have the British version on HBO Max, and it's called Ghost, and it's so funny. It's like hilarious. Like it's so much fun. Like you get to watch it, right? It's just so much fun. I'm so addicted. Like my husband's like only one show a night, Heather, because there's only 3 seasons and I'm on season 2 already, but it's freaking hilarious. I absolutely love it. So definitely watch Ghosts, right? Oh, one more thing. Oh yeah, I kept sweeping everything under the rug and ignoring it, hoping it would go away. My health suffered. Finally, years of therapy and self-healing. Yes, self-healing helped me. Yeah, and therapy too. People, we were using our family too much as therapists, right? We need to see a professional. Talking about, you mentioned if your path might have been different. Ooh. Oh, yes. Oh, you think I still would have been a great influencer? Oh, thank you. Yeah. I probably would have figured out some way to be of service, probably. I've always had like a big heart. Um, I just look at like my dad and his family, but a couple years ago he said he never thought I was his. Oh my gosh. Wow. I think that they say that stuff, you know what I mean? I don't think that he meant it. Do you really think he meant it? I don't feel like he meant it. Okay. All right. So I think we're headed off now. But yes, let me know if you want that guidebook, right? They'll help you connect with spirit if you haven't gotten it already, right? The one about the clairs. And then join us for like that 3-month thing, right? The what is it called? Like once a month, and then like the intuitive stuff, that kind of thing. I'm gonna get the link for you too. So it'll be totally fun, and we start next week, right? So just let me know. All right, yeah. I love you. And just let me know if you need anything, okay? I'll be here. I'll talk to you later.